Hi, everybody, and welcome to episode 66 of Draw With Me Kids, Watercolors and Watercolor Teddy Bears.
Yay!
Yay! Even if you don't have watercolors, don't worry. Join in with your pens, your pencils, your paper, and anything that you want like to color with, and you can draw a teddy bear too. Are you ready? Well, let's go. Guys, this is what we did last week. We did goats in honor of Minecraft. And their new mob of goats. So we hope that you guys had a lot of fun. I did an ice cream goat there. And Miss Rainbows did an amazing candy goat. So today we're going to draw, I was originally going to draw Dr. Watson as a teddy bear because we're drawing teddy bears and Dr. Watson's like Sherlock Holmes' best friend. And why? Well, he's one of the characters I drew as had a little kid Sherlock, and little kid Sherlock would carry around a teddy bear Watson. So I thought that would be kind of fun to do as a teddy bear. I also made the mistake of thinking today was Dr. Watson's birthday. It's not today, it's next month. Next August 7th is August. So anyway, all that aside, are you ready to draw teddy bears? Yeah. We're also trying something new too, guys. So if you can see us on the screen, we are putting up the camera so it goes upside down so you can see what we're drawing. So hopefully you can see what we're drawing here. Right side up. Or is it still upside down? I don't know.
No, I can see. That's what my teddy bear looks like.
Okay.
So far.
Yay! So we're going to start off with the teddy bear drawing. And we're using watercolor pencil. This is something that I just saw another artist do on their stream. And I thought, this is the coolest ever. Is to take a watercolor pencil, which with water, I'll show you, can just sort of be blended into the rest of the backgrounds. So I'm going to have that ochre on the side. That's fine. And become gentler in part of the picture. So you can sketch on it and not feel so worried about lines overlapping and erasing. Because as you're going to learn in trivia today, watercolor has some interesting properties. Speaking of trivia, are you guys ready for some trivia?
Put water drops on the page.
Are you guys ready for some trivia? Let's see whether we have some people that are ready for trivia. Okay. Yes, it is. It's kind of a weird angle. Like, I think we could probably do that a bit and it would be better, but I'm not sure. Yes, the camera is upside down. Oh, but then we lose ourselves. That's not so good. Then we lose ourselves. We just wanted to make sure you guys could see what we're seeing because I realized that with the setup, two of us at the desk makes it very difficult for us to see. For you guys to see what we're doing and just seeing it the same way that we're seeing it. So we thought this would be a good way to do it, and hopefully it's working. So our first question for trivia today is, what is watercolor painting called in French? Are you ready? Is it couleur d'eau, peinture d'eau, or aquarelle? What is watercolor painting in French?
Well, I know the answer because I've seen it and I've heard it in school because we did this in school.
Yeah?
We did watercolor painting in school.
Well, that's good. Maybe your friends out there have seen it or heard it too. So I'm just gonna do like a Watson-like teddy. Might not make a lot of sense to a lot of people, but that's what I'm doing because I love Sherlock Holmes and I love Dr. Watson. So I'm gonna draw. Using my basic shapes. I used a big circle to start, a little oval for the muzzle, just like Miss Rainbow's here. She's doing very similar things. And then I used 2 little circles or semicircles for the ears. Really basic teddy bear shape. Half a semicircle again for the hat. I made sure the brim was peeking out between the ears. Oh, if it's causing people to feel not so good, I'm sorry. I'm sorry if it's making people feel not so good. I wish we had a camera that was straight down, because that would help out a lot. Because otherwise you'd see us working upside down, and I don't know if that is helpful or not. I'm kind of trying to do a floppy teddy here. Who's sitting? Whoop. Maybe put legs out here. How's your teddy going? The tricky part about watercolor is that you really do have to wait for layers to dry well between putting colors next to each other, or you have to have very, very good brush control. So I'm just using all my basic shapes, my circles to make feet, and then straight lines to make the legs, and I'm just sort of letting the background be a little sketchy. I'm going to try this out.
Even though it's like the tiniest little thing, this is so annoying having to lean in because I'm messing up so badly on my snout.
I'm sorry, Bubbles.
My little muzzle.
So our next question for oh, it actually has a nice undercolor too. I like that. Our next question for trivia is: watercolor paints come in tubes, tablets, and what food sounding form? Is it A, cakes, B, cookies, or C, chocolates? So they can come in tubes, tablets, and what other sounding form? I think I'm going to... Food sounding form, that's right. I'm going to use these guys, which are my... Sorry. Okay. These ones are... They can also come in pans, too, which is another thing.
If you know how to make this, I think I know what this is. If what I think it is correct, then then a pan is actually something that...
Is that a good clue?
Yeah, it's something
is a pan a good clue?
I think it would be something that you would use to make this food item.
And you can see I use my watercolors a lot. If you can see the thing up here, I've got watercolor mixes and stuff, so you can actually mix colors in watercolor as well.
I'm gonna make my teddy's favorite color.
It's really, really wet on his face, in case you're going to use that for...
No.
Okay.
I'm gonna put it on his bow because it's his color of his bow.
Okay. So, what food sounding form can you get watercolor in? Do you have a guess? Well, you know, don't you? Why don't you tell everybody?
I don't know. I think.
Oh, you think you know.
I think I.
This might be too close to the color here. So I'm just going to take some water and stretch it out. You think you know?
I don't know.
Okay, why don't you tell us what you think it is?
I think it's cakes.
It is cakes, yes. You can get watercolor in tubes and tablets. These are tablets, kind of also in a pan. These are pans and cakes. These are a little bit too dark here. It's okay. And it's
Teddy's
I
favorite.
love it. It's Teddy's favorite color for Teddy's bow. That's cool.
Yeah.
If you ever want in watercolor, and this is a hint to another trivia question coming up soon. If you ever want a light color, like white, you have to leave it blank on your thing. So our next question is true or false? Don't be sorry. It was good advice. You can help us adjust it so it doesn't look so weird next time. Our technical advisor. True or false? You can erase or cover over watercolor paint with more watercolor paint. True or false? And if you've been following along with some of my advice as I'm talking about it, you'll know that I've been making some warnings about certain things.
I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this trivia question because I've tried.
Yeah? That's part of
And I know
how
the result.
I learned how to do watercolor, is just trying and sometimes failing. Just trying and experimenting and seeing what works and what doesn't work. And I'm learning every time, and that's what I love about watercolors and what I love about finding a new way to make art. A new medium is what we would call it, a new medium. If you've never used watercolor before. So again, sorry for anybody joining us, and it looks a little bit weird from this perspective. We just wanted to make sure you could see what we're working on the right way around instead of us being upside down. It might be a little disorienting. I will say that I love this idea of starting the sketch with a watercolor pencil. So, what do you think the answer is, Miss Rainbows? What do you think? You're usually really good on these, so.
I don't want to see it. I want to give people a little bit more time just to guess.
You gotta give people a little bit more time to guess? Okay. Can you believe we're up to episode 66 already?
No.
Hard to believe.
It literally feels like we just did whales.
Like we just did the whale one. I know. I'm going to use what's wet on wet. I'm just sort of put out the area that I want to do in wet color, and I'm just going to
I don't know why, but I just painted a carrot.
Okay, paint a carrot. You're getting to use what I have here in my studio is an art block. It's a watercolor block, and they're not exactly something that I would recommend going out and buying for yourself because they're pretty expensive. But what good is it if it's just sitting around not getting painted on, right? So we're using what's called an art block, and that helps to keep the paper, but as you can maybe see a little bit, it's buckling where I've really wet the paper. Tries to help keep the paper from doing that too much, because watercolor paper with the water can be affected by how wet it gets. And you'll see some people who paint with watercolor regularly will take tape, like masking tape or good painter's tape, and they'll attach it to a board so that you can get a really good stretch in the paper and then wet the paper first. And then that way the board gets used to, the board and the paper gets used to being stretched like that with water, and it buckles a little less. So this is like a honey colored bear. He looks a little bit like a Winnie the Pooh color almost, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, I think my original illustration of a teddy bear Watson might have been closer to your teddy's color. Not this. That's okay. Kind of like him this color. So the answer to the question is false. You cannot put watercolor paint and cover over your mistakes with watercolor paint. Watercolor is very, very translucent, which means it shows what's underneath it. And so if you make a mistake, you just have to say, well, that's a beautiful oopsie, and go with it, because it's really hard to erase. You can do things like, say I don't like this line, and I do that. I can rub it out a bit because it's so faint, and then I take a Kleenex, which you've probably seen Miss Rainbows do already, and dab it up, and it can lift some of that color off, but it's not going to completely make it go away. So, the statement is false. You cannot cover or erase over watercolor paint with more watercolor paint. You can always see the last color, and eventually if you add too many colors that are different to each other or contrasting to each other, you will get what looks like muddy paint. And muddy meaning like super brown and not a lot of definition or color or light to it. Not to say that should make anybody scared from trying watercolor, because I think you should just go and do it. Why not? Try it. Experiment. That's how we learn what you can and can't do with it. I'm still learning. I've been painting with it for a number of years, but I'm still learning what is good to do with watercolor and what's bad to do with watercolor.
If you're having trouble with watercolor pencils, by the way,
do you have a watercolor pencil tip?
getting perfectly colored in, but you don't want to waste up your pencil. It's super easy. I'll just build this.
I shouldn't just take this solid, but I will. There.
Yeah.
That sounded like somebody popped a tire
What?
outside the window. I made red. I think that I have too much red in my picture because the browns are also a form of red, but that's okay. I'm liking it. Oops, I just brought his color in there. Do 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 do. There. Oh
I was just about to use that for my thing.
no! Whoop.
Thank you.
This is me getting a hole in one without actually trying. That's too bad. Okay.
By the way, here's my trick.
Oh, show your trick and then I'll
So-
ask the last trivia question.
You can see here how this green is not completely filled in. There's a bit of white.
Yep.
Just put a bit of water on top and gently rub it around till you have the right color that you like of the green. Then gently pat on top of it. There you go. You pulled some of the color off. Then you can just lightly color over top again with the green paintbrush.
I think I'm gonna find another rag too. Okay.
And then color a bit more water on top.
Do you want another cool tip with watercolor pencils? Guys, if you have watercolor pencils at home, you can dip it into water a little bit and make, obviously I didn't hold well enough, but make your lines very smooth and color things in with it very smoothly like you just painted it with a paintbrush.
You want to try?
Sure. I'm just using one brush, but you can use many brushes. You can use just the one brush, but to make sure you clean it in between. That we're using water to clean the colors off. We're using water to push the colors around. So if you're ready for the next trivia question, because I said we would do, if you want, or if watercolor, blah, 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 blah. Let me try that again. Watercolor is typically made of how many ingredients? Watercolor is made typically of how many ingredients? 3, 4, or 5? This is me not remembering what color I was at. So how many ingredients in watercolor?
I don't know. Do you have options? We have options.
Yeah, 2, 3, 3, 4, or 5. 3, 4, or 5 ingredients in watercolor.
Oh, I didn't know there was so many ingredients in a watercolor paint.
How many ingredients can be found in a watercolor paint? use this to go soften those up again. I'll give you a hint. One of those ingredients is indeed water.
Are you going to tell us what the water, what all the ingredients, 4, 3, or 5, or whatever?
Yes.
Okay. I'm excited to know.
So am I. No, I know what they are. Typically made of how many ingredients? 3, 4, or 5 watercolor. Sounds like we're cooking with watercolors. We're not, though. Oh. Just be careful if you do my trick, by the way. It flattens the edge of the thing so you don't get as sharp an edge.
Oh.
And that's okay, because then you can sharpen it again to get the edge back. But just if you're suddenly drawing along and it's nice and pointy and then it doesn't have a point anymore because you tried that trick, that's why. It's because it wet it down. Then we just have to take a sharpener and sharpen it again. No big deal. This is the paper's, look at that, the paper's still wet right there, so it made it a little smoother. I love watercolor because every time I sit down to do a new picture, I learn something new about how it works. Like, this is my first time trying to do my sketch with a watercolor pencil, and I'm really liking the result.
I'm just doodling now.
That's cool. Well, I'm almost done, ready to say my Teddy Watson is done. There's something very important I'm missing on my bear. At least I think it's important. He doesn't have a tail.
Oh.
I mean, not all teddies have tails, but I like a teddy with a little tiny poof ball tail. We did teddy bears, like actually how to draw teddy bears. Back in episode, do you remember? I don't remember. Don't remember. I don't remember.
For the YouTube friends, it will be up.
It will be up.
In the video.
I think we did teddy bears and pandas in the 40s, somewhere in the 40s. Last year, we did episode 17 on this day, and we did cats. Remember that?
I don't remember doing cats. Oh, I do, yeah, where I drew all my Minecraft cats.
You drew all your Minecraft cats. I follow a friend of mine, amazing artist, who frequently does watercolor. Miss Tabitha Jensen, aka Pabkins. And she likes to do a little touch of either gouache or acrylic gel paint. Or like this one I have opaque white to do highlights, because that can actually cover watercolor. So if you make super bobos, there are ways to fix it with mixed media, but with watercolor itself, really kind of hard. You just have to be happy with your beautiful oopsies, right? I think I'm even gonna go, except I'm gonna lighten it up a bit. Lighten it up. Just add a little bit of, that might be too much. I was gonna say I was gonna add a little bit of that eye color in here for the shadow of the hat. Maybe I'll just make the whole hat. That color. What do you think? Kind of going to, because it doesn't look quite right if I don't. Beautiful oopsie. And you can still see a little bit of that.
Whoa, this looks like the caramel chocolate that I had a little bit ago.
Cool. There. You can still see a bit of that brown color underneath. She's just as fascinated by the, oh, there you go. That's what I'm going to do. Just a little dab to make it shiny again. Yay! So the answer is 4 ingredients. It's water. It's a gum or binding agent, which brings all the ingredients together. It's the pigment, so either crystals, natural petals of flowers, things like that, crystals and chemicals to make the color.
You said crystals twice.
Sorry, crystals twice. Crystals, I'm so obsessed with crystals. Water. I said water. Yep. And the final one. Hold on, I have to look at my notes. The final one, I believe, is water. I kind of should have guessed. You would have asked me that. So a binder to hold the pigment together. I said that. Preservatives. That's what I forgot to say. So something that would make the colors last. Water, and then whatever pigment you want to add to make your colors. So that's basically the 4 ingredients you would see in watercolor. There's his shiny little eyes. Hello, shiny little eyes. Shiny little nose. I think I'm ready to be done. Are you ready to be done? All your doodling? You know what is a really important thing to do once you're done a painting, especially one that is a traditional painting? You should sign it. Got your signing pen ready? I'm going to sign mine in this color. Ready? Steady? Go. It's my initials. Cool.
I'm gonna make this into a heart because it really doesn't look like my initials.
Okay, you can make it into a heart.
Then I'm gonna make them. Thanks for watching Jolt Me Kids Edition, episode 66. Watercolor teddy bears.
We hope you had fun drawing teddy bears with us, and even if you couldn't do watercolor, maybe you've learned some new things that you can try with your own paints at home.
If you enjoy, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, hit the notifications bell, and share the video with all your friends. That way nobody misses Jolt Me Kids Edition ever again.
Just took the words right out of my mouth. Awesome, and we will see you guys next week for strawberry snakes. I don't know what that means, but we're going to find out. See you guys soon.
Slithers. Bye.
Bye.